Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about subtotals, and we have to give our attention to specific details that are critical in order to accomplish this task. If you notice, if somebody gave me, this is actually a table. If you notice, there is a header and with all the ability of filtering through different type of criteria. So this is a table. And it clearly hear me that I cannot do subtotal with table. Let me prove it to you. So if I click anywhere within any cell on the area here, because this is a table, if I go to the data and you notice I have subtotal here, but it's dimmed, meaning it's not available at this moment because subtotal does not handle table. There's many ways of handling tables. Everything is moving toward tables. We're going to be talking about pivot tables. But when it comes to subtotal, we have to convert a table. If it's not giving to us as a range, then we have to turn it into a range. How do I, how do I do that? I select the table, or I click on anywhere. I go to the design for the table. This is the design for the table. And I see here convert to range. I need to convert that to range. And here we go. Then you want to convert to range? I said yes. It took out the filtering capability that associated with the table and would give me the table with the color. If I don't want the color, no big deal. I could go ahead and turn it into white. So this is basically what you would get usually with a subtotal problem is a plain data listed as a range. Hopefully you will see that we do have a label for each columns and every row is an entry for that. So we have last name, sales, country, and quarter. So since now, if I click on anywhere in the range and I go to the data, notice that the subtotal has been activated and ready to be used. Okay, so how are we going to use subtotal? Subtotals is very easy if you know what you're doing. There is multiple chances that we could use subtotal. Most of the common subtotal used with, of course, some summation of certain variables. For example, in this case, sales, which lost its format when I changed the format away, took it from currency to another to plain number. I could go ahead and put that into currency. I don't need the digit. To the digit to the right of the decimal point. If I wanted to go ahead and find the subtotal for each name here, we have Smith, Johnson, Williams, Browns. That is very possible. If I wanted to show the subtotal per country, that's also possible. If I wanted to show the subtotal for each quarter, that is very possible. So what we want to do, let's go ahead and start with the last name. So if the last name is my criteria now to do the subtotal based on that the last name, then I have to click on that columns. There is multiple ways of actually two ways to sorting things. I would go ahead and do it to the data. And I click on A to Z sorted. And of course, leave it to expand the selection with it. And as a result, now the last name is sorted. You cannot do a valid subtotal without sorting the criteria or the field or the column that you wanted to really work with the subtotal around it. So now we do have the last name is sorted. So I'm going to click anywhere on the range, go to the data ribbon, and I'm going to click on subtotals, and I'm going to bring it right here. The first thing it says, at each change of what? At each change of the last name. That's a true. But I'm not going to leave it as count. I wanted the sum, which is the subtotal in this case. And which one of those subtotal that I'm looking for? It's not the quarter, it's the sales. It's the sales. So when I click on it here, notice it did actually do the subtotal by the last name. I could go ahead and make this a little bit better looking by doing this way here so you know what I'm talking about. And maybe even bold here, maybe even red. So now we have the three levels of subtotal that give us 1, 2, 3. And if I go to the level 2, it will give me only the subtotal for each name, as you notice here. If I go to number 1, it's going to give me the grand total for everything. So the second total is the subtotal for every person. And of course, the third one is going to expand it with all It will give me the grand total at the bottom, volumes, and also it could collapse here. For example, I'm only doing it here per certain names, as you notice here. I keep collapsing. I'm leaving the Williams, only Williams. I'm collapsing everybody else. But of course, the plus sign, it means to expand, and the minus sign is to uh, uh, shrink the list. And I would leave everything on here with plus sign, plus sign, plus sign, and go to number 2 and number 3 in order to expand everything. This is one way of doing it. Of course, I could go back to the data and go to the subtotal. Remove of course, I need to be on the top of the range. I go to the subtotal here. I must be on the top of the range. And I will say here, remove all. So get me back to where I started with. Let's now, my question change from doing the subtotal by last name. I want to do it by country. So I need to go ahead and sort the country one more time, sorting that column that I wanted to do my subtotal based on it. So I'm going to go to the data, and I'm going to go to the sorting AZ, the ascending order. And notice here it says, do you want to expand the selection? Of course, I want it to change every piece of data pertaining to that specific country along with it. So here we go. We sorted it by United Kingdom and United States of America. So now I can go ahead and click anywhere in the range, go to the data ribbon, and make sure that I go to the subtotal. And the same thing, I want it now, instead of doing it by the last name, I'm changing it and I'm doing it here by the country. And I want to leave that subtotal to the sales. And I'm going to click on it here and notice that we have only 2 countries in this case. So we have United Kingdom and we have United States, which is on the 3rd level. The 2nd level is to show me only the subtotal for each country. And of course, number 1 is the grand total for everything. So this is really a short video because I'm going to leave it for you guys to go ahead and first of all, go to the subtotal and remove everything. And now it's your turn to really do the subtotal based on the quarters. So you have to sort the quarters first, then you're going to apply the subtotal by subtotaling the sales. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. We have plenty to learn in this class. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.